Hello there, Skull Gamers, and welcome to this week's episode of Jungle Drums. I'm afraid I am alone once again. Again, it's just due to scheduling and whatnot, and the time of day that I'm choosing to record these over the last few weeks. But anyway, hey, it's just me, so it really is just jungle drumming about the latest and greatest news. Not too much happening in the tech world, but there's a few things that are going on. And a couple of developments with certain games and whatnot. So let's go ahead and get started with some techie kind of news. I sourced this from PC Gamer, and it's actually talking about a new monitor from BenQ. Now, for console gamers out there, right, I mean, most of us, we tend to play on a television of some kind, whether that's a beautiful, big, huge 70-incher, or, even maybe something a bit smaller. But if we're honest, playing on a monitor, it really is a huge difference. I mean, I've said it before, we've got a big screen TV in the living room, and then, of course, my normal PC monitors through here. And gaming is enjoyable in the living room, right? It's nice being able to play games on the big screen. But as far as actual picture quality and fidelity, it's there is no comparison on a monitor, and that is why there's a lot of people choose to just especially if you're still living with your parents or something, or you have limited space. A lot of gamers tend to buy a monitor for their consoles, because you get lower response times, better image quality, usually better blacks as well. Now, one of the problems lately has been when it comes to 4K monitors. There's a whole bunch of 4K monitors out there, but very few of them that have HDR. One of my good friends, and who's been on the show, Sergeant J, he's wanting to buy a 4K monitor, and he was almost about to do it. He almost pulled the trigger, and I had to try to talk him out of it and say, no, look, 4K is great, but it's the HDR, right, on the Xbox One X that really makes the pictures kind of pop and whatnot. So hopefully this year we're going to get more HDR 4K monitors, but I'll tell you what, this new one from BenQ looks pretty darn good. It's not huge, it's a 28-inch monitor, so that's pretty decent for if you're not too far away from the screen. But it's going to be, it's 4K, it's got HDR10 support, and the monitor itself actually includes a premium high-speed HDMI cable. The brightness is at, 300 nits, which is a bit low, but when you look at the price, this is allegedly going to be priced at $499 US. That is pretty darn good. Ideally a true HDR display is going to have more around 1,000 nits, and in fact for the VESA HDR 400 certification, you need to be pushing 400 nits. But hey, it's fine. This looks like a pretty good budget buy. It uses a TN panel. It's got a fast 1 millisecond response time. It does support FreeSync, so if you're an AMD video card user, hey, look, you're on a winner. Keep in mind too that the Xbox One X supports FreeSync, so this monitor might be a pretty good partner for anyone out there who has an Xbox One X console, but does not yet have a 4K display. I think another good reason why this could possibly be aimed at console gamers as well is it does come with a pair of built-in speakers on the monitor. But, for all the PC gamers out there, of course, it has DisplayPort 1.4, HDMI 2.0, and it does have a 3.5mm audio port. I'm quite a big fan of monitors that have audio outs. It's kind of helped me, with different kind of methods of capturing audio and whatnot. My current setup, I'm using an Elgato capture card. My console comes through that, comes to the monitor, so the audio and everything is being fed to the PC, but then I have the audio out on the monitor that the pass-through comes through, right? So my gameplay's there. That audio out then goes to the line in on my PC, and that way it gives me a way to control the game audio to a comfortable level for my ears without affecting the actual level of the audio, the game audio for recording or for streaming purposes. So it's an easy way, instead of like getting a huge mixer, preamps and all that crap. It's a neat little way around that. But so BenQ does make decent monitors. They're usually priced competitively, and this one, for $500, 28 inch 4K HDR and a 1 millisecond response time. That's pretty darn good. So keep an eye out for that. Put it on your Amazon wish list or wherever you shop, and we'll have to see. Hopefully we can try to see if there's any good reviews on it when it comes out. And hey, BenQ, if you want to send me one to test, I will not turn you down. Another article from PC Gamer is about The Division. Right now, The Division is a game that's been out now for 2 years. It's one of my personal favorites. Yes, it's had its ups and downs, but the state of the game now compared to launch, it's a huge difference, night and day. So what the team at Ubisoft has done is, for their second anniversary, they are bringing global events and Twitch rewards. I like this little subtitle here too. 2 years in, and they still haven't reclaimed Manhattan. Hey, it's not easy, okay? Being an agent, it's not easy at all. But yeah, so anyway, it's the second anniversary, right? March 8th is the actual anniversary itself. And, the game's doing okay. I mean, the article here, says that's not bad for a game that they, PC Gamer, said was doomed to a slow death. But, I mean, really, the game has been fighting back, trying to prove that it is worth playing it. So what they're doing in March, they're going to be holding global events every weekend. I say every weekend, but, it is kind of a long weekend, I suppose. I think it's Fridays to Mondays, or maybe Thursday nights and Tuesday mornings. And so for the whole month of March, there's going to be a different global event every weekend. And the global events, they are a lot of fun. They usually have different modifiers that do different things. And of course, with global events come the badass rewards, the classified gear sets. So there you go. It's going to be a great month of March. I'm going to actually have to take a break from Monster Hunter World on the weekends and get into The Division, because there is a few classified sets that I still have not completed. But it looks great. This weekend, the first event is Outbreak, and that runs until March the 5th. Remember, for Outbreak, the modifiers affect all enemies, including Contagious, which you have to be careful if that can drain players' health when enemies are too close. It's a pretty cool modifier, though, because then if you do damage to the enemies, then they can explode and then infect other enemies. It's pretty cool. The next global event will be March 8th through March 12th, and that is going to be Assault, which, if memory serves me correct, Assault is you do extra damage when you're closer to enemies, but enemies from a distance will do more damage to you, so watch out for those snipers. Strike will be on March 15th through the 19th. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what the deal with Strike was. And then the final global event for the month of March will be Ambush, which runs from March 22nd through March 26th. In addition to these global events, Ubisoft is also going to be slapping out Twitch drops, in-game items that are randomly awarded to viewers during live streams. So basically, there's also going to be timed rewards for reviewers as well, where 3 cipher keys if you've been watching for 30 minutes, the Asher Vanity outfit for 60 minutes, 3 more cipher keys at 90 minutes, and 5 cipher key fragments, for each 30 minutes watched after that, up to a total of 6 hours. It's not cumulative viewing, so you can come and go as you please over the course of the month, but just remember, you will need to link your Ubisoft account to your Twitch account. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Ubisoft has put out a huge infographic here saying that, look, this is the things that the game has accomplished despite some of the mixed response to it. 20 million players have played The Division. It's twice the population of Sweden. Over the past 3 months, players have spent an average of 3 hours per day in New York City. After the 1.8 patch, engagement increased, doubled basically. In 2 years, wow, that's 549 million rogue agents were brought to justice. 66 billion NPCs killed, including Alex. On average, 161,000 agents die every hour in the Dark Zone. Anyone that's been in the Dark Zone, you can believe that. Look at this one down here. It might be hard to see. A PS4 player has completed 7,768 waves in Resistance since the launch of 1.8. That's an average of 100 a day. And there's only a 16% chance of success and survival. The Division, it's a great game. It's not for everyone. And there's a lot of people that don't enjoy playing it solo. Personally, I love playing it solo. It makes it more challenging. But when you get a good group of players, like friends, and you're in there doing stuff together with classes that kind of complement each other, it is a really cool experience. And if you haven't checked it out in a long time, honestly, since 1.8, even before that, 1.7 did some good things, but the 1.8 patch, or update rather, really was an absolute game changer. So the Division is definitely worth checking out. Speaking of updates, this one is also relatively new on the news. There's sources all over the place and whatnot, but I chose to take the one from Tech Radar. And this is about the new Xbox One update that lets viewers take control of streamers' games for kicks. Right, so basically, if you've been keeping tabs on Microsoft, Xbox, and Mixer, you know that they're really investing heavily in Mixer, right? I mean, you can stream directly to Mixer, from Windows 10 without needing any specialized software. And it's the same with your Xbox One or One X. You can stream directly to Mixer most of the time in 1080. And of course, FTL is supported as well, which is the sub-second delay. So it's pretty cool. So what they've done now is they've added, a few new features to the Xbox One. We knew for ages that the One X and the One S would be getting 1440p support at some point, and so today's update, well, this will be yesterday's update, has finally unveiled that feature. So that makes it possible for gamers, games and media to be displayed on those QHD monitors without being downscaled to 1080. So that's a really nice feature for those of us, as we were just saying earlier about the 4K monitors with HDR, they can be tricky to find. Whereas 1440p monitors with HDR shouldn't be too much of an issue. So there you go. But another update that is specifically for Xbox and targeted for Mixer is quite weird. Remember a while back when they introduced the co-pilot feature to the Xbox that allowed, basically two controllers could be used to play the same game. It's, I suppose, quite a bit of fun for kids, but it's also kind of targeted at people, who might have some kind of mobility issues, or maybe they only have one hand, right? So they can hold the left part of the controller, and then they could have a friend, do the button presses, on another controller. So it's a really, really nice feature. But what they've done now is they've kind of put this into Mixer, where they've enabled the share controller feature, right? This basically allows streamers to hand off control to the game they're playing to viewers, right? Viewers will be able to control the streamer's game by either plugging an Xbox controller into their PC or using an on-screen virtual gamepad. On top of that, both parties are going to be able to share controls simultaneously, which, if you think about it, could make for some really interesting and possibly quite trolly, games. So it'll be interesting to see how the hell this all plays out. Keep in mind, this is only for those Mixer streamers who are streaming directly from their Xbox. There are apps out there that you can use to enable controls if you're a PC streamer, but unless you can find one that's been pre-made, you're going to have to be coding one yourself using something like Python. So this is kind of neat. I'm not sure if it's going to be a huge, game-breaking trend that is going to just take Mixer by storm. I think it's going to really depend on the game. Some games that might work out quite well with, and I think with others it would just be really, really quite irritating. On the other hand, it makes the whole kind of, the concept of, remember how Twitch does the Twitch plays, and, viewers have to type in commands? Well, You don't have to type. You could actually just use the buttons. But again, depending how many people are watching, that could become fairly chaotic. Depending how many people are trying to push the buttons at the same times. So quite interesting there. There's also another few changes to Mixer. Again, specifically on the Xbox platform. Broadcasts will no longer stop when a streamer switches games. Instead, the stream will pause and resume automatically with some kind of screen or something showing on the streamer's broadcast to let viewers know what's going on. Streamers can now choose to start their Mixer streams from anywhere on the Xbox One, including from the console's dashboard or even a game splash screen, so you no longer have to be physically in the game to begin your broadcast. Another update, which I don't think really anyone cares about, is they're saying that Microsoft Edge on Xbox One has been updated, making it more modern, it's more streamlined, and it's going to be easier for users to navigate. I feel sorry for anyone out there that has to rely on Microsoft Edge on their Xbox to look up things on the internet, because it is not the best experience. But one cool thing is that users will now be able to download and upload pictures, music, and video from within Edge, so you can browse them from the file, and then you can subsequently browse through those in the File Explorer app. So there you go. The spring update is also going to be offering things like smarter dashboard feeds, new filtering tools for club owners, new audio balancing options, and the ability to join or start tournaments without being a member of a club. So there you go. Lots of changes coming for the Xbox. Right. A little bit of tech news here. I sourced this from videocardswithaz.com, and this is about the new generation of Ryzen chips coming out. Basically, we've known for a little while excuse me, that the next generation of Ryzen chips was going to be coming out. These were going to be using the 12 nanometer FinFET fabrication process. They weren't going to be architecturally that much different. They were just going to be thinner, hopefully refined a little bit more. By using a thinner process, that theoretically means they should run cooler, they should use less power, but we shall just have to see. It doesn't look like they're going to be using less power. But so basically, the first consumer chip has been spotted, and this is the Ryzen 7 2700X. Now, if you're familiar with the Ryzen processors, at the moment, the top of the line one you can buy is the Ryzen 7, well, despite Threadripper, right, just the normal Ryzen chips, is the 1800X. Now, the 1800X is an 8-core, 16-thread CPU, which has a base clock of 3.6 gigahertz and a turbo clock of about 4 gigahertz. As a TDP of 95 watts, so that's, not bad, and has an average price of somewhere around $350 US. Now, this 2700X that has been spotted is also an 8-core 16-thread chip. Looks like it's boosted just slightly. The base clock is 3.7 gig, and the turbo clock is 4.1. Has the same TDP, no idea on price. But what's nice is the new chip is, it works with the current motherboards. There's no doubt they'll have new chipsets coming out, maybe, improvements, but you're not going to have to change your platform. So if, say, for example, you had a Ryzen 3 or a Ryzen 5, and you've been waiting, maybe you want to upgrade to a Ryzen 7, but we're just waiting for the right time. Well, hey, this new generation of chips that is coming out could be that right time for you. They're going to be available in April, so we don't have too much longer to wait. But yeah, they're looking pretty good. Trying to see if there's any other kind of key specs. No, that's about it. If you're not into the Ryzen 7, there is also going to be, the 2600, which is the Ryzen 5, which is a 6-core 12-thread. Keep in mind that's comparable to a 1600X, which is just over $200. So that's a lot of bang for your buck. That's going to be, looks like, clocked slightly slower than the 1600X, but faster than the 1600. Is going to be, same wattage, 65 watt as the 1600, but less than the 1600X, which is a 95 watt chip. But so there you go. The Ryzen 2000 series processors will be in our hands on April. I really want to build a Ryzen system. I really, really do. It's just fun. PC works absolutely fine the way it is. There's no need for me to do it. It's just an absolute want. I'd love to put together a Ryzen system and put it through its paces. Right, let's talk about some games. And, it's been a while, actually, that we haven't talked about Destiny 2 in ages. It's been great, because we haven't been playing Destiny 2. In fact, nobody's playing Destiny 2. Well, maybe not nobody, but let's be honest, there's been a huge exodus. If you look on Twitch, Mixer, YouTube, there's not much Destiny 2 content on there at the moment because we've all just been let down by the game. So this article from Polygon says that, hey, Bungie is going to be bringing original Destiny's Iron Banner to Destiny 2. So there you go. Destiny 2's, Iron Banner is going old school this spring. The game's next major update is going to be making it so Iron Banner matches will work similarly to the way they used to. Because currently, it's 4v4, which, the 4v4 is quite cool, but for Iron Banner, a lot of folk just found it lacking. And Bungie said it was previous, they did previously say they were going to be working on 6v6 Crucible. So basically the studio has now given out more details. This update, which is going to be version 1.1.4, is going to be released on March 27th. So we've got quite a little while to wait yet. But so basically what's going to happen is the match time limit is going to be 12 minutes. The score limit's 125 points. Respawn time is 7 seconds. All control zones start off neutral. Control zones are going to take slightly longer to capture. Additional guardians to a maximum of 3 in a zone increases the capture speed. And guardians participating in a capture get more super energy. So yeah, Iron Banner was a big deal in the original Destiny because, it was at the time, the only PvP mode that was supposed to have, level advantages, where your gear actually mattered. Now, if anyone remembers the first Iron Banner, it really wasn't the case, and over the years they tried to tweak it and adjust it accordingly. Destiny 2's Iron Banner is not going to work that way. They're saying, look, these other tweaks are going to bring it fairly close to how the old Iron Banner felt, but there's going to be no advantage to light level and gear and whatnot. So it just, I hate using the term, but it is so apt for Destiny 2. They have really catered to the more casual or occasional player. And this is why the diehards or the hardcore Destiny fans they've left. Because for too long now, Destiny 2, it's aimed more at just being able to pick up the game, have a bit of fun, play for a little while, and then go do something else. Whereas, there were so many people within the Destiny community that would just be farming and grinding and doing all the end game activities over and over and over. And Destiny 2 just doesn't have that. So it's nice that they're making an effort here to appease some people by doing these Iron Banner changes, but at the same time, it just feels like too little too late. I'm hoping the next DLC or the next expansion, because, well, let's be honest, most of us out there have already paid for it because we got the darn season pass. Hopefully the next DLC will be, quality and might interest us to, bring us back a little bit. We'll just have to see how it plays out, because at the moment, with other games that are out, even something like The Division, at the minute, The Division is much more rewarding than Destiny 2. I just hopefully that the team at Ubisoft are going to be doing an enhancement update for the PS4 Pro and the One X. We know it's coming, we just don't know when yet. Oh, it's going to be so glorious, so beautiful. Continuing with the theme of games, if you've been paying attention to mainstream news, you might have seen this on Twitter, on Facebook, wherever. I've sourced this from The Verge, and this of course is about the ESRB. And ESRB, is the rating system for games and whatnot, and they are going to be putting a label on games, if they contain microtransactions. Well, loot boxes and whatnot, and or in-game purchases rather. And so yeah, the ESRB, the Entertainment Software Rating Board, which is a self-regulatory, what is it? An association, an organization? I don't know. It's responsible for rating the content of games. And come on, unless you've been living under a rock, we know there's been huge controversy lately about the industry's shift towards microtransactions. Specifically loot boxes, because microtransactions have always been in games. Quite a while back, the original PSP did a great article talking about this, saying that, look, let's be honest, you go decades back, playing in the arcades, what was that? You died, to continue you had to put another quarter in. That was a microtransaction, right? So microtransactions are nothing new, but these loot boxes certainly are. This basic kind of gambling, paying for a chance to get something, is a bit, it's gambling, which I know there's a debate there whether it's gambling or not, but hey, most competitive multiplayer titles these days are using a loot box system. So the ESRB is not really targeting loot boxes, they're kind of targeting everything. Their solution is going to be doing a in-game purchases label, which, if we're honest, just about every game nowadays does have. And this article is really quite good. It goes more into saying that, look, the ESRB's criteria is extraordinarily broad, covering any game that offers the ability to purchase digital goods or premiums with real-world currency, regardless of the context. This includes things like levels, skins, surprise items, item packs, loot boxes, music, virtual coins, subscriptions, season passes, upgrades. It's somewhat mind-boggling because there is a big difference, I think, in most people's minds between these various types of purchases, and how they're implemented, and including how much they actually cost. But the ESRB, they're not gonna, differentiate between what's fair, what's chance-based. Fortnite's Battle Royale doesn't contain loot boxes, but it does sell in-game currency. That's going to be thrown in the same boat as Overwatch, which, only lets you buy loot box packs, which is kind of in a slot machine type style, with real money and no guarantee of rewards. Yeah, it's a bit, I think the way they've put it here is basically the ESRB has taken a very toothless approach to addressing this issue, because let's be honest, there's been politicians that are trying to put bills through, and there's legislation that's been introduced in Washington that called for a study into whether loot boxes constitute gambling or not. And this one US senator from New Hampshire had actually called on the ESRB to provide more transparency and publicly available data on loot box implementation. It's, without any proper kind of regulations and legislation in place, the ESRB really can't take it much further. Let's be honest. I think a lot of people were looking to the ESRB to do something, and then, they could kind of follow suit, but the ESRB saying, whoa, hey, you're not putting this on us. Okay, yeah, we'll do something, but hey, if you want, firmer things to kind of come in place, you're going to have to talk to your lawmakers. The ESRB president, Patricia Vance, said, we certainly considered whether or not loot boxes would constitute as gambling. We don't believe it does. We think it's a fun way to acquire virtual items for use within the game. It's, on one hand, yes, she's absolutely right. It is just a fun way, to acquire items, but at the same time, because of the kind of addictive nature of it, it can so easily trigger, maybe not trigger's not the right word, but, people who are susceptible to getting in over their head, people that have gambling as an issue. You think about addictions out there, these people who suffer from addictions, it's not necessarily always a conscious choice. Yes, at some point they made a choice to start whatever it is they're addicted to, but they end up getting caught in this horrible vicious cycle, and it usually takes someone else to get in, try to slap them out of it. And gambling is very much, this very, very similar. Hence why there is, GA, Gamblers Anonymous. Gambling has made so many people, kind of throw their life savings away. And usually when we think of that, we're thinking of going to casinos and slot machines and whatnot. But let's be honest, it's really, really easy nowadays, since most people have, everything tied in digitally. So you've got your PayPal or your debit or credit card tied to your Xbox, your PlayStation, or even your Steam wallet. And it's really, really easy just to, okay, I'll just buy one more. Oh, I'll just get this. Oh, I'll just get that. Next thing you know, your account's empty. So yeah, we'll just have to see how this develops and whether or not, the SRB is going to crack down any more. Well, I suppose we'll have to wait and see what kind of legislation comes out. Right, well, folks, that is going to do it for this week's episode of Jungle Drums. As usual, catch us again next week. What's been going on this week? Look, there's been, some great articles that have been published this week. Of course, the latest episode of Armchair Gaming just went live yesterday. Make sure to check that out on the website. Or, hey, if you're checking out on the website, why don't you go ahead, watch the video, but then go to our actual YouTube channel, the Scholarly Gamers YouTube channel, and hit that subscribe button. It'd be great. Show your support. We should be having a few reviews coming up shortly. I know there's various people working on different reviews here and there. So we should have quite a few of those popping up in the near future. Yeah, that is pretty much it. Oh yes, and a little birdie told me there's going to be a giveaway. But I won't say anything else. But there is going to be a game being given away that's tied in, I believe, with a review and some other things. So keep a lookout for the Scholarly Gamers social media, Facebook, Twitter accounts, and details of that should be coming out very shortly. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll catch you next week, and in the meantime, take it easy.